Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly 30-minute webinar. My name is John Deline, a systems engineer here at Variphy, and I'll be your host for today's session. We're going to be talking about how to report on your Zoom common area calls. Here to present today is the notably uncommon Matt Sykes, a fellow systems engineer here at Variphy. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing good, John. That's a tad humbling, but thank you.
Yeah. Like to keep you humble. Please note that these webinars are always recorded and posted within 24 hours. So if you have to leave early or just want to be able to review it again at your own pace, check the webinars page on our website for all past and upcoming sessions. First, we'll start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do. Then we'll jump into a live demo where Matt's going to guide us through reporting on your Zoom common area calls. We'll leave time for Q&A, so during the demo, if you have any questions, make sure to enter them by accessing the Q&A option. After Q&A, we'll award one lucky attendee a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around to see if you've won. Variphy is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration. Deployable either on-prem or as a hosted cloud solution, we provide industry-leading CDR reporting and call analytics, as well as customizable dashboards and widgets, UCCX reporting, remote phone control, change management, Cisco Cube CDR, and our latest additions, Zoom and WebEx call reporting. If you have any questions on any of our features, please contact us at support@variphy.com or reach out to your account manager. One more thing before we kick things off. For an additional fee, Variphy offers an enhanced consulting service to our customers. Variphy's SE team engages with you on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, report building, dashboard configuration, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides you a dedicated Variphy SE to do the heavy lifting, giving you a stress-free, hands-off experience. For more information, please contact us or your account manager. We'd be glad to speak to you more in depth about pricing and terms of service for our Enhanced Consulting Services, or ECS. I'm going to hand things off to Matt now. Please remember to submit any questions in the Q&A panel, and we'll address them towards the end of his presentation. We'll send it over to you, Matt.
Okay. All right, let's pick screen 2 here in the background.
And you should be the host.
A couple extra share buttons. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to, again, our 30-minute weekly webinar. This is Matt Sykes. You should all be looking at a dashboard module page that I have up right now at the moment. So previously, we've rolled out Zoom support a couple of months ago, and definitely a lot of things that we're reporting on and building around are primarily, I guess, kind of organizationally based, let's say, kind of org usage or things built off of kind of user components, that being, you know, the hierarchical sites metadata that we're going to read out of the Zoom API, like sites, like departments, like locations, even down to the user levels as well, to identify their call measures as far as, you know, inbound, outbound, and total traffic, and any other analytics measures needed there. But there's definitely one thing that we have noticed after, you know, our initial launch a few months back. We did quickly kind of realize many of our customers, you know, that definitely are in the financial, the healthcare, you know, retail, and education verticals, let's say, don't really utilize a lot of user representation for, I guess, phone associations, let's say. So a lot of them actually use kind of the common areas or common area phones instead of assigning individual users with, you know, Zoom phone call licensing. So because of these, you know, and customer requests, we have looked into better ways to, and easier ways to go ahead and incorporate the common area phone usage reporting. So that's definitely one of the additions and new features coming in Variphy 15.2 due out in a few weeks. So I'm going to jump away from this guy right now, and we'll hop over to one of my other labs here. Now, I have a patch on here that includes the new logic for the common area reporting out of Zoom phone, and let's take it for a test drive. I definitely have some things built for it, so we'll go ahead and kind of comb through those very high level, but if we need to get pretty intricate, we certainly can. So this is the secondary module, the analytics reporting module, that will always deposit you into a history section. This is kind of your, you know, your quick search option, or kind of your sandbox, I like to refer to it as. We definitely have all the needed fields, filterable fields by singular direction as well as multi-direction, user-based, like I made mention, so the containers of site, departments, locations, down to the users. Certainly we've had those since our rollout a few months back, combinations there and as well, and some signaling stuff as well. I can search. I'm just going to use the default one here, caller number for the default current day, and one character or better will bring back what that starts with X. So I can certainly comb all the data in this history section that I need to, as always, across multiple of our platforms that we do support. There's definitely new updates to this as well. So this was just kind of a plain simple kind of return of some data elements, but now we actually do have common area filters. So underneath the search criteria, if you can see here, we have originating and terminating parties for caller or called common area, or the combination of the two as a search filter. So we can certainly utilize those once 15.2 rolls out and is generally available. We have new columns to identify that as well. Let me zoom in for your eyes. So I already have it thrown in here somewhere. Let's see, it's on the called side here. Here we are. So called common area. I already have that configured in my visible detail columns, and we'll go take a quick look at that as well. So let's just kind of slide on over. So I've got everything, caller I have all to the left. I use the direction pretty much as my breakup or my 50-yard line to break up the caller and callee representation of their data. So looking at the calls that are coming into certain locations, let me keep sliding. There's a lot of data here. Departments, but now we have called common area. So we can certainly identify and see exactly what common areas are being utilized within the environment for certain call traffic, whether or not they're broadcasting and bringing multiple common areas at the same time, which these most certainly are, or if they're individuals to certain, like switchboard operators could be a common area as well. Now, let me just kind of jump back real briefly as well to some of the Zoom kind of support documentation, just to kind of make this a little more pronounced. So, common areas are, they're unassigned desk phones is really what they are. So it's a common area, meaning it could be, a break room, a conference room, the loading dock, for instance, could be, something outside of the elevator bank, for instance. Again, suffice to say, there's no end user association in the Zoom phone API for that. So there's definitely a lot of traffic that is utilized that we definitely see, whether or not users are using hot desking or there's overhead paging and intercom systems that are kind of being utilized off of these common areas. Multiple options are certainly applicable here. So again, there's no there are some limitations, of course, in the area as far as the recordings or call monitoring and stuff like that. But from the reporting standpoint, and Variphy doesn't really make or break kind of the case here, but definitely supporting access to be able to read the common areas, to be able to see where the call traffic was presented to, so that we can go ahead and report on that, and business decisions or productivity measures and tracking can be utilized. So that's where Variphy comes in. So again, now that we're supporting, we will be supporting the common area reporting, so we will be able to identify and report on all these non-user quote unquote device handlings, let's say. So from there, we can also, even from this history section in analytics, so I can quick search whatever I need to. If I'm more site specific, which I definitely am because I'm a little more organizationally based, just for enterprise-wide kind of reporting. So if there's multiple regional offices or just a handful, certainly being able to onesie twosie pick them off with a easy kind of a lookup filter is nice to do. From this section as well, we can even kind of spawn kind of ad hoc reports. We can run them from this this history section in an export capacity. Can certainly save it for future use as a template, but also have ability to go ahead and group the information as well. So if we're building kind of a quick search around inbound call traffic as an example, let me just throw something dirty together. Inbound calls to a certain location or a certain handful of locations, maybe of just the inbound variety. Maybe I pick on a handful of locations as an example. We're going to want to potentially know exactly the common areas that are handling all that call traffic, or not all the call traffic, but the other half of the call traffic that is not user represented. So let's see. So caller or called common area is definitely going to be a new applicable grouping type using this data pull and data reach here as well from the Zoom API. So then we can go ahead and kind of build out whatever reports, whatever dashboard widgets we see fit. And then as always, we can certainly build out all kinds of measures for them. So if we want to know for each and every one of the common areas, what their totals are, but then we can certainly even get a little more intricate and showcase, their not connected call counts or percentages, their answer rates as well, how many calls are not getting picked up by those shared common area devices and rolling over to voicemail potentially. So certainly all these options that we definitely have had and Variphy for quite some time are definitely applicable to this new logic as well. So just looking at that, I do have a couple of reports kind of lined up for us here. So we'll go take a look at this one right here. This is kind of, as I made mention, kind of a a more kind of enterprise-wide organizational kind of grouping just based off of these common area devices. So threw together kind of a quick crude report last night, or this morning, excuse me. Here's a couple of days from August so far. We see for a certain location, or multiple locations, there's about 4,200 calls that came into these environments. I have their answer rates, they're not connected rates, voicemail rates as well, but also then breakdowns to that that location or that site, that called site, and then breaking down now newly these common area breakdowns. What are their call handlements? How many calls were presented to these common area devices? How many were answered? What are the total and average durations? Again, how many were not connected? What is the not connected percentage ratio? What do the voicemail kind of measures look like as well? So we can certainly build all this out pretty easily and pretty swiftly. We can certainly include the very raw data of this as well. So if I look at this common area of 109, I can certainly see the callers that are calling into this this common area. Again, if there's no broadcast, no hitting multiple common areas at the same time, whether or not these calls were handled, and then who they were handled by. Were they part of call queues as well? What was the called path as well? So we can get pretty detailed at the granular level with all this content, but definitely can certainly eliminate the lion's share of this if we don't need all that granularity on 4,200 records. Can easily make this a 2-3 page report, but as always can turn around and also make it a 200-300 page report pretty easily. We can also whittle that down pretty more intricately if we wanted to for maybe a specific site or a certain organizational container, whether that's the called site or we're using department. But definitely, I think the site is going to be more of the kind of the by location kind of hierarchy that I would probably lean on. So that's going to be the one I'm leaning on for this example for a called site of 211. So total inbound traffic, 147 calls for, looks like I ran that for yesterday. Again, answer rates, not connected rates, and voicemail rates, as well as durations, but also then the breakdown again, but singularly by a single individual store, not enterprise-wide like the last report was. But this one's for a current day. Now, whether or not a manager wants to have, or an admin wants to have this kind of reporting, running daily, running weekly, monthly, quarterly, certainly have all those viable options, or even just the ad hoc measure to run from our report section. But again, listing out all these common areas that now we're able to identify and read out of the Zoom data API, and provide measures for them as always. So how many times these calls are, how many times this common area has been utilized over the previous day, previous week, certainly have those levels of access. And then of course, period over period reporting for them as well. So whether or not I'm keying off of day over day or by cumulative hour of day or specific hour of day or week over week, month over month, certainly can identify any measures that we need. So total calls presented, answer rates, answer counts, durations as well. I just kind of kept this one light, not to bore everybody with data tables here, but those are the AMs. Here are the PMs for these called common areas. This example for yesterday, and then graphical representation for these common areas. So here's 138. We can see, the totals, the answers, the not connecteds, and the voicemails as well. Now, is there something synonymous that may be happening with one of these common areas that's maybe inefficient? Maybe the not connected rate is a little higher than maybe it needs to be. Certainly, that's what the reporting is certainly built to recognize and identify. So more graphical charts can certainly have multiple time units in here as well. Now, as always, I'm going to take us to a dashboard now. So we can also even take this information just like as always in Variphy, and we can kind of have that kind of nice happy combination or complementary. So of structured reports as well as dashboard exposure to this information as well, because the dashboards again, or if you don't know, but they do refresh on interval. So we should be refreshing these every 5 minutes. Now we're near real time, not true real time, kind of near real time, because that the Zoom API isn't releasing the CDR data until it's actually the calls have been terminated. So live call traffic would never be funneled to us until the call was disconnected. So in that same capacity, or just like these reports, if I'm keying off of a current site and I want a breakdown of all the common area usage over whatever time frame, whether that's the current month, the current day, the current and previous couple of months, certainly all those options are identifiable. But then we can easily chalk in here whatever we need to see for this. Do we need averages and durations? Do we need percentages or just counts, or both as equal measures as well to be identified by whomever may be identifying these dashboards? These dashboards, as always, can be utilized as permalinks as well, kind of in a read-only facet and broadcast onto large television monitors. Different ways to go ahead and kind of list out the data as well. So the same exact table here, which is a grouping table off of inbound traffic to site 211, and then obviously grouping and breaking it down by the called common area. But this distribution chart underneath is doing the exact same as well. So we can easily see now these are all numerics, definitely the common areas in a lot of other locations. This is just some test lab data I have here, but out in the field, these are going to be labeled probably with more descriptive labels for recognition, let's say. So kitchen, loading dock, conference rooms, elevator phones, kind of stuff like that. Or if they, I mean, they're pretty free form to label them. So whatever is programmed in the Zoom API for those common areas will be read and identified and verified as such. These examples are just numerics, but then there's a lot of other cool things that we can do and identify with this. On this site 211, I was looking at a specific certain common area that's just labeled as 138. Maybe I want to identify all the call handler triggers that are handling this data and routing it over. That would be these couple of numbers I'm grouped here for this, these 236 calls for the current month. If I wanted to, for that same common area, I could actually kind of list out kind of the rolling trailing 50 call records for the recent time frame. So of these 236, this table here is the very granular detail table, but we definitely are able to recognize, the called common area if there are individuals or in the kind of the broadcast fashion that I had mentioned before. But definitely we can certainly see these calls, see their durations, see their caller results, and see exactly kind of where this call went to, but definitely have exposure and reportability to these common area calls. Now, another cool thing is, let's take a look at this. So there's some scenario options that we have filterable capabilities for as well. So let's look at this. So 236 calls actually were inbound presented to this site, to this common area, but almost 19% of them went to voicemail. So what I did was I kind of copied it and built out something simple as well and identifiable. So a little extra detail on this, a little whittled down. So this 18.5% is about 44. Is the 44 mark of the 236. So able to identify those, build them out in their very granular facets so we can identify them potentially. And these all actually have the voicemail equals true, so that we know that voicemails were actually left by these inbound calling recipients. And potentially there's a callback, maybe a callback process that needs to be put in place as an example. Now, 44 calls, this is business being missed. We don't know, are these people that are not being handled properly for whatever business needs that are being serviced? But again, able to identify that, it came to a certain called common area. We know it came through a called queue. We know it has voicemail. Now, whether or not the environment or manager thinks that this is necessary to give this caller a call back, we can certainly identify if we have repeat callers. I thought I saw that 1256 a few times. So again, these are not being handled. So whether or not they need to be called back by somebody on the staff certainly is a direction that can certainly be taken, but definitely Variphy can identify that pretty easily. Now, again, I'll drill into this as well. Same kind of filters that we just saw in the history section as well. The widget components are going to look exactly the same. It's just new additional detail columns, so called common area. And then I'll have search filterable capability for it, so common area. And I was able to key on all my 138s in this lab demo data set that I certainly have. But I have call scenario types. So I can certainly easily whittle this down pretty significantly to just show me the voicemail calls. And then those may be ones that are in question. But there's definitely other options as well. If we need answers, abandons, recorded, queued calls, and totals, et cetera, can certainly easily do that. But just some more kind of leverageable filters that we have and capabilities within Variphy. So ending all that together, pretty easy to tunnel right on down to something that may be kind of a hot button topic that we want to keep eyes on. So pretty easy to go ahead and pick off those common area calls now and summarize them and report on them with relative ease. All right, now let's see here. I guess I've covered the history stuff. I've covered the reports. I've covered the dashboards. I've given some user representation. We went over the support docs. And I guess in this example, I am leaning a lot more heavily on the the inbound traffic, for instance, because this lab data set that I am connected to here is much larger of the inbound call variety for this environment. So that's definitely why I'm leaning on kind of the inbound representation for these data examples here. But as always within Variphy, we definitely have more than one way to slice and dice our data within these constructs, with whether they're dashboard widgets, these kind of frame structures, or even the structured reporting that again can be delivered ad hoc or ran on quick frequency. But definitely can't overemphasize how useful the analytics history section is for go ahead and building your filters, identifying what data elements you're able to see. I mean, that's essentially how I threw these widgets together and identified all this voicemail stuff when I was building this late last night or earlier this morning, just being able to see the data kind of visually there. So if I wanted to, let's replicate this one here. So these voicemail calls, so site 211 went to 138, And I know they were of the inbound variety here. So this is a quick example there. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's key off of direction. And I think I was keying off a previous day for that. We're gonna look at inbound. We're gonna want to grab the site. I think I was picking on 211, so the inbound variety. So I'm gonna want to look at called site. We'll go ahead and add that in here. We'll pick on 211. Got that locked in, but now I also want to key specifically on that one common area. And let's go ahead and do that. So type in common area. Definitely all of the drop-down filters within Variphy have dynamic keyword search built into them. So you can certainly just type a couple keywords or letters and it'll certainly shrink our lists for you. Now I'll be looking for terminating party of called common area, past tense, so inbound represented traffic. And now let me just rattle a few of these off here. Quite a few duplicates. Okay, that's fine. Let's go ahead and just double check that. I was keying all it was current month. So let's just match that, change my configuration to be current month. I can spell. So 8 plus days and counting. Okay, 237, but now let me piggyback off of that because I'm also using a scenario filter as well in that widget, and I can easily key on voicemail calls. Here we are. So, and all 4 of these filterable items are ANDed together with this match all search criteria toggle that's turned on by default. So these are all ANDing. So it's going to be definitely calls 211. They are of the inbound variety. They have a scenario type of voicemail and they hit this common area for the current month. Bring those results back to me. And there they are. So if we need to look at the granularity of these 44 calls that we identified in a dashboard widget, or I mean, vice versa. I mean, really, this is kind of what I did initially to kind of construct that dashboard widget was to jump in here, start playing with some filterable fields, and then to identify the data results and the elements. And do I need to whittle anything else out? Do I need to drop off zero duration calls? Well, not for this example because these are calls that went to voicemail. But certainly, what the external numbers, we can see those. We can read the caller ID for them. We definitely can see exactly, where the calls were presented to, what trigger they hit, what called queue potentially they were presented to. Were they an auto-attended call? Certainly can see the called site, and then definitely the common area that they're hitting as well, and then any queue recognition that was participating in that call as well. And then if we even needed to, again, does this call have any voicemails? These most certainly do, because I'm locking it down with this call scenario types, keying specifically off of voicemail calls. So these should all be true for all 44 of these. And then if I just as a bonus, I threw in the MOS score at the end, but all these are sitting at 4.5, so these are pretty healthy. Okay, now definitely we are, I suppose, looking into some development for recognition of the common area phones themselves. So at the moment, that is maybe one thing that may be lacking, but we are currently working with Zoom to address this. Until then, we're going to focus on the general common area with the intention to bring common area phones into our reporting abilities down the line pretty shortly. However, this is still still a fantastic feature to add on here with the common area usage. Just in general for the time being, but I definitely think this is great exposure and a good component now to have on here for the environments that have a Variphy and certainly don't have all their phones, their Zoom phones attributed to users. So this will definitely is part of the missing piece of the puzzle. So now you have the common area reporting as well as the user reporting that we had during our rollout. So this is this is becoming much more well polished for the field to use, and I think it's taken off pretty fast. John, I'm a little light on content, my friend. Do we have any questions or concerns from the audience?
We have not had any questions come in.
That's
Fantastic.
it, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose. Real interesting stuff. Great job, as usual.
Thank you.
I think we can probably wrap up here. Let me get my screen shared out, except you.
I'll click the stop share and you should be able to snag it.
Yeah, there we go. And all right. So there's our blank Q&A panel. And since we don't have anything happening there, we'll move right on to our winner of this week's gift card. That is Tyler Austin. Woo! Congratulations, Tyler. Your account rep will be reaching out to you to get you that gift card. Thanks to each of you who attended today. We appreciate you making time in your busy schedule to join us. Our next session will be on August 16th, when Jim and Victor will take you through the features that will be new in our version 15.2 release. Thanks, everyone. We look forward to next time. Till then, bye for now.
Take care, all. Thank you.